Leeds United are on fire, Nottingham Forest have lost a game, and Sheffield Wednesday beat top of the table West Brom 3-2. Welcome back to yet another roundup of the Premier League and Championship Saturday action. As always guys, make sure to share your thoughts, especially if you went to one of these games. Get your comments down below, let me know how you thought you got on. Of course, I'm just doing a quick reaction. I haven't even seen a lot of the goals back, but just doing a quick reaction to the scores and what it means to the table. Before we get into the football, do make sure, of course, to support this video. Let's go for 1,500 likes. It takes 2 seconds to hit the thumbs up button, and make sure, of course, to subscribe. I know some fans will be feeling happy and some will be feeling sad, but let's try and be rational and share our responses in an appropriate way in the comments. And let's get into the scores. We kicked it off with Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1. Now, we did look at this game, myself and Sophie, and say, we'll back Manchester City, but I would not be surprised if Newcastle get something. Now, Manchester City did go 1-0 up with Gvardiol's goal, and we obviously highlighted that they're missing Rodri at the minute, and they only managed to get a draw over the line. Anthony Gordon scored a penalty, 1 apiece, and it's a good result for Newcastle. It's a good bounce back after losing to Fulham. Of course, they didn't play in midweek because their Carabao Cup game was called off. They'll be back in Carabao Cup action next week, puts them 7th in the table now. And as for Man City, they're still top of the table for now, but as I'm recording this, Wolves are playing Liverpool, and if Liverpool win, they will go top. It's 2 draws in a row for Man City, which is not great, but it was 2 difficult games. On to the next one. Arsenal 4, Leicester 2, and I tell you what, the scoreline maybe doesn't give the game itself a massive amount of justice. Now, looking at the stats, Arsenal dominated as you'd expect, but it was 2-2 in the 94th minute. Arsenal went 2-0 up, Martinelli and Trossard 2 goals before half-time, and it looked like a routine, comfortable Arsenal win was coming until 2 goals for Justin for Leicester City dragged them right back into this, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I know Leicester haven't won yet, but this would be their best draw of the season for sure. And they were so close until a 94th minute own goal from Ndidi put Arsenal back in front, and then in the 99th minute, Havertz got the winner. For Leicester, frustrating for sure, but plenty of positives to take away from this. I know looking at the stats, they were not in the game much, but in terms of the actual gameplay, they were. Look, back to the drawing board for Leicester. More easy games, I guess, will come. But yeah, real frustration not to get anything. As for Arsenal, if you're going to win the Premier League, you have to get these games over the line. And they did. And as we said, Manchester City dropped points, so Arsenal are definitely in the title race still. Brentford 1, West Ham 1. I predicted this. Brentford went 1-0 up, and can you believe it? For a 3rd game running, they scored in the 1st minute. Mbeumo again, after they'd done the same against Tottenham and Manchester City. But once again, they didn't actually get the win over the line. But this time they didn't lose. It was a 1-1 draw. It looks like Brentford did have the better of the first half, but West Ham got back into it. Soucek's goal getting them a point. It looks as if towards the end Brentford could have won it, but look, it's a point for Brentford, which is a response to losing their last 2. They're 12th in the table. As for West Ham, they've still only won 1 game, and they're now 14th in the table. Do share your thoughts if you went to this one. Looks like Brentford might have slightly had the better of it, but it's a draw, which I suppose is maybe a slightly better result for West Ham, given where they are at the minute. Next up for West Ham is Ipswich at home. That is a big one. Next up, Chelsea 4, Brighton 2. Can you believe it? 6 goals, and they all came in the first half. Now, I was following this game live as I was doing my live stream for Coventry versus Leeds, and I just couldn't believe what was going on. 4 goals for Cole Palmer. He is a monster. Yes, I said before this game there was going to be goals, and it really lived up to it. The game ding-donged back and forth, but it just felt as if Chelsea were in a bit more control, really. And in the second half, it just stayed the same. Chelsea did have some chances to get a 5th, but ultimately, look, the job's done. They've won the game, and as of recording, they're currently 3rd in the table. So since losing on the opening day to Manchester City, it's been an incredible response for Chelsea. As for Brighton, it's their 1st defeat of the season, but it was a difficult game, and they're still in the top 8. Everton 2, Palace 1. I did predict this. I said Everton would win, and I said 2-1, and there you go. It's the first win of the season for Everton. Massive result. McNeil getting a brace, but they had to do it the hard way. This time they came from behind. Maybe it suits Everton not to score first. Mark Gay gave Palace the lead, and Everton turned it around, like I say, in the second half, and they saw it through. A really big result, really builds the confidence and hopefully some momentum for Everton as well, because they've been getting a little bit of a reputation for conceding, especially late on, and yeah, it's a really good result this. But I suppose the talking point will be Palace, because they are now winless after 6 games, and I'm a bit surprised by that considering how good they were in the second half of last season with Glasner. The final game from the 3pms in the Premier League was Forest 0, Fulham 1, and it was a Raul Jimenez penalty that gave Fulham the win 5 minutes into the second half, and it's Forest's first defeat of the season, so a little bit of a surprise, I suppose, but I do think Forest tend to struggle against Fulham sometimes, maybe just one of their bogey teams. Good result for Fulham, gets them moving up the table. They are now up to 6th. As for Forest, they moved down to 9th. Still, if you're going to be level-headed, Forest have had a very good start to the season, and these results happen. It's just frustrating, isn't it, when you've beaten Liverpool away and then you lose this game at home and you just think, oh, it kind of like chucks points back away, doesn't it? But if you're a Forest fan, big picture, you've had a good start. And now it's looking like a good start for Fulham as well. Share your thoughts. Let's move on to the Championship. It is worth highlighting last night we saw Plymouth beating Luton 3-1. Great result for Plymouth. They deserve a lot of credit for that. I've said it on record, if Plymouth are going to stay up, it's the home games where they're going to get points, and I honestly do hope Wayne Rooney proves the doubters wrong. So yeah, great result. As for Luton, after taking a couple of steps forward, it's a step backwards, but still quite early. We'll look at the Championship table in a second. Blackburn beat QPR in the early kickoff. QPR did have a red card early in this game. Was it Varane got one in first half? The first half stoppage time, I believe. And it just seemed to go that way afterwards, that Blackburn, with the man advantage, made it count. Travis and then Bath making it 2-0 to Blackburn. Pretty comfortable, I guess, in the second half, given the man advantage. QPR didn't really have a lot going for them in the second half. And Blackburn, now up to 3rd in the Championship table. Their next game, Coventry away in midweek. Ugh, I'm not looking forward to that. If you're a Blackburn fan, do share your thoughts. Although Blackburn have lost their last 2 visits to Coventry, but... right, next up, Derby 2, Norwich 3. Derby have finally lost a home game, and it was because of a Bora Signs hat-trick. So fair play to Norwich, and it's now looking like a decent little run that they're on. I think it's 3 wins in 4, and putting the goals they've scored together in the last 2 games, it's 7 goals in 2. It's put them up to 9th. They've leapfrogged Derby. And for Derby, look, they made it competitive. Forsyth pulled one back. Taylor pulled one back at the end. And there's still positives to take. They've not lost this badly. And at home, I think they're going to get quite a few points. Yeah, if you're a Derby fan, do share your thoughts. But for Norwich, yeah, another real good win. And they're moving up the table nicely. But the biggest surprise from the early kickoffs in the Championship has got to be at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday 3, West Bromwich Albion 2. I did not see this coming. Credit to Sheffield Wednesday. They went 2-0 up with Furlong's own goal and then a goal through Windass. And it looks as if West Brom did get back into the game. They really pushed, and then they got a goal through Madja, and then they scored 6 minutes from the end through Alex Mowat. So that was 2-2, and you're thinking, okay, West Brom are still going to be unbeaten. But no, look at this for a twist in the tail. Masaba making it 3-2 to Wednesday with 4 minutes to go. And considering Wednesday have not won in the league since the opening day, it's a massive result. They've not just beaten top of the league, but it's their first win in a while. And I like Danny Roll, and I like a lot about Sheffield Wednesday. So I hope it is a turning point in their season now. And it moves them back into the middle of the table, I guess. Where are they? 18th, okay. But they're only, 2 points behind 12th place. So definitely a step in the right direction for Wednesday. Share your thoughts if you were at that one. That looked bonkers. I tell you what was bonkers, Hull City, 4-1 winners against Cardiff City, and that is now 2 very good results for Tim Bolter, as they are absolutely catapulting themselves up the table. They've gone from the bottom 3 up to the top half in the space of like 2 games. And it really does compound Cardiff City's bad start to the season. Cardiff actually took the lead through Robinson after 18 minutes, but it all just turned on its head. And looking at the attack momentum, it looks as if Hull City did deserve this. Cardiff gave it a go in the second half, but when things are not going your way, it can really spiral badly. And we've spoken about that Ballou has parted ways with Cardiff. They need to get the next appointment right, really, don't they? Because there's just a lot of pressure now at Cardiff, and this is a really bad start. They're not just in the bottom 3, but they're cut adrift a little bit. They're 3 points behind 23rd, so yeah, not good whatsoever for Cardiff, but credit to Hull, what a win. All right, let's talk about Leeds versus Coventry. Leeds 3, Coventry 0, and that really does just paint the whole picture. It was that kind of game. Leeds brilliant, Coventry rubbish. I am negative after this one for Coventry, but I won't go as hard as I really feel like I could go in on Coventry just because of the opponent. Let's get this out of the way. Leeds United are fantastic, and I think they're going up this season. Still early days, and we all know that in the Championship there will be twists and turns, but they looked absolutely phenomenal, and they were so dominant for so long. Now, I think there was a few Leeds fans coming into this game that were maybe a little bit apprehensive, like, oh, it's Coventry. You know, they took 4 points off us last season, and it'd be so typical if they get their season started in this game. But no, Leeds United, fantastic. Credit to Farker, credit to the players, Nonto, Bogle, Pirot. Took their goals well. It was a really nice goal from Nonto. He hit that well on the sort of side foot. Bogle makes it 2. And then between the second goal and the third goal, Leeds took their foot off the gas, and Coventry could have got back into the game, but we just didn't look like breaking Leeds down. And then Pirot's goal is actually really poor defending from Coventry, and I think the keeper could have done a bit better. But I'm not taking anything away from Leeds. Worthy winners. As I say, I think they're probably going up, and it really does show the gulf between these two at the minute. As for Coventry, I really do hope that Mark Robins and the players do give a public apology to the Coventry fans, because yes, okay, it's a hard game going away to Leeds, but it's quite a long way, it's quite a lot of money, and they didn't show any fight. We said, look, we want aggression, we want passion, and I even said, if we lose this game 2-1 and we tried, I will take the positives. There's no positives to take from this at the minute. We've got Blackburn next. I'm going to be supporting them. I'm a Coventry fan. I'm trying to be positive, but you can understand the frustration at the minute. Coventry absolutely spineless, and we need something soon. Otherwise, the pressure is going to get to a point where something happens, and I really hope it's not that Mark Robins has to go. But, guys, a pretty difficult situation to get out of at the minute. Right, next up, Middlesbrough 2, Stoke City 0. This looks pretty routine for Middlesbrough, and to be honest, credit to them. I think I predicted 2-0 actually. I thought they'd be the better side, but it would have been typical of Middlesbrough to play the better football but not win. But no, they did. 2 goals, one either side of half-time. Is it Doak and Hackney with the finishes? And looking at the stats, Middlesbrough deserved this. Stoke are in a funny position, and on reflection now, it's not looking great, that change in managerial personnel, but it's early days. I hope it comes right for Stoke. At the moment, not great. And as for Carrick and Middlesbrough, they are now up to 8th. So decent result, 3 wins in 7. They're moving along quite nicely. Millwall 3, Preston 1, a bit of a crazy end to this one, but on the whole, Millwall just more ruthless. I did say before this game that Preston never seemed to enjoy travelling to Millwall, but yeah, Millwall just so comfortable here. Honeyman, Essay, Macaulay Langstaff with a goal as well. And then Preston pulled one back, and then there was a late red card for Millwall, but it was all too late. Preston are still in the bottom 3. It's still kind of early days for Heckingbottom, but you'd have thought there'd be a bit more of a reaction since he was appointed, and it's not great so far. But as for Millwall, it's decent now. A couple of decent results here and there. They've not been consistent, but they're 14th. They've had 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats. It just looks like two teams. I think I predicted Millwall and Preston to have similar seasons around mid-table. Millwall living up to that a little bit more at the minute. Preston, God, they look rubbish actually at the minute. If you're a Preston fan though, do share your thoughts. You need a result soon because you're currently in the bottom three. Next up, we've got a couple of goalless draws to talk about, but these are still interesting results. Oxford 0, Burnley 0 is really interesting because Oxford, before the season started, considered by most people to be bottom and Burnley to get top two, but they cancelled each other out. Looking at the stats, it looks like it was pretty much all Burnley, but Oxford had one or two moments on the counter. Look, it's a great start for Oxford, especially at home. I thought, this would be a tricky game for Burnley, and it's proved to be that. As for Burnley, yes, they might look at this as 2 points dropped, but if a lot of teams are going to struggle at Oxford this season, a draw might not be the end of the world. They'll hope to bounce back in midweek. And as for Oxford, keeps them chugging along. They are still in the top half. Brilliant. And then Portsmouth 0. Sheffield United 0. This game looks a little bit more even. It looks as if Portsmouth in the first half had some decent chances, but ultimately still finished 0-0. I think we can now say we've got to the end of Portsmouth's very, very difficult run of fixtures, and now the fixtures get a little bit nicer. Stoke and Oxford, I think they do look slightly more winnable. And if they play like this, they will get a win soon. It's a decent result. Yes, they're still in the bottom three, but let's look at this with context. Portsmouth have had some difficult games and they could take a draw from Sheffield United and be very happy with themselves. Sheffield United, they could say 2 points dropped, but they're still in the top six. These games happen. They didn't lose. Let's move on. The final game, Watford 2, Sunderland 1. Difficult with Sunderland at the minute. They did lose to Plymouth away and then they got back to winning ways at home to Middlesbrough. But this one got away from them and Watford back up and running. A really good result for Watford actually. Ebosele gave them the lead before half-time. Sunderland got right back into it with an equaliser in the second half. And then it looked as if Sunderland could have won this game, but in the end, Watford got a penalty and Deli Bashiru stuck it away. So Watford 2-1 winners. They move back into the top six. No, they're seventh actually. And Sunderland, despite losing, are still in the top two. So, as we said, in a promotion race, draws can kill you. So, if Sunderland win 2 and then lose 1 and win 2 and lose 1, they're still churning out 2 points a game. So, yes, the Sunderland fans won't be feeling great after losing today, but the wins are keeping them up in that top 6 and top 2 for now. But that wraps up the Premier League and Championship roundup for today. Like I say, share your thoughts if you went to any of these games. Some really interesting results here, some maybe predictable ones, and a couple of interesting 0-0s as well actually. Be sure to share your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you've dropped a like. It takes 2 seconds. It really supports the channel, and please make sure of course to subscribe. I think we're this close to 77,000 now, so please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you with Champions League predictions tomorrow, I believe. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.